Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are today again with Dr. Mrs. Ramma Mattoo. She is a versatile educationist, motivational speaker, spokesperson, Private School Associations, Jammu and Kashmir. She was born in Srinagar in August 73. In August to Mr. B.K. Mattoo and Srimati Rupa Mattoo. The family shifted to Jammu in 1990 after the turmoil in the valley when the mass migration took place. She completed her schooling from Jammu and was among the sharp students of the school who took part in almost all activities of the school and won a lot of laurels too. She is a doctor of education, specializing in education and training from Commonwealth Vocational University, a master's in education from IGNOU, and diploma in computer office management from IGNOU as well. She began her career with Nehru Memorial High School, Jammu, back in 1995, and since then she has never looked back. After 1999, she moved to Little Flower High School, Jammu. She then joined KC Public School as coordinator and served as academic coordinator and TGT Social Science before joining Crescent Public School, Jammu as principal. Her other detailed positions and activities are Chief Editor, Wednesday Times, Jammu Chapter, lifetime member of Center for Educational Development, national spokesperson, and NRP Be the Change, National Advocacy and Spokesperson, Private School Association JNK, Vice President Speedball Association of India, Advisor SPPA India. Some of the awards, honors, workshops, webinars by Dr. Mattoo in her career span of 25 years are the awards Innovative Principal of the Year 2019 by CED Center of Education Development at Jammu, Life Empowerment Award 2018 at National Science Center, New Delhi, awarded with the dual award of Progressive School and Progressive School Leader by CED in September 2018, Best Innovative Leader Award 2018 by Times Now, Favorite Principal of the Year Award 2018 by Franchising India Limited and Times Now, Best Progressive Principal of the Year 2019 by IEA, awarded the Best Principal of the Year 2019 by CED, Resource Person and Lead Speaker at International Edu Summit January 2018 at Delhi, organized by CED, on topic Key Challenges Faced by 21st Centenary Schools. Conducted workshops for pre-primary education, invited for numerous talks, workshops, and presentations for prestigious schools across the states. Represented as a panelist speaker at many forums during pandemic 2020, including some of Global Edu Leaders, Indian Principal Leagues, IPEC, SPA India, EduRight Talks, and many more. Let's welcome Dr. Ramma Mattoo. Good evening, ma'am. How are you? Namaste.
Namaste. Good evening, Reena. How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, my usual question, because I've seen you have been following mostly all of my talks, what brought you to education?
First of all, thank you for inviting me here today on this platform. Thank you for giving such a lovely introduction, and thank you for sharing all the details about me. We are here today to discuss something about the evolving role of the teachers, right? And let me start with a saying that difficulties mastered are the opportunities gained. This is how we are evolving ourselves, and this is how we actually evolved. We, as the teaching fraternity, we, as the educationists, we, as the edu leaders, have evolved ourselves for the betterment and for the growth of the children and for the growth of the society as well. So if I say the topic for today is quite very simple, but it is very important at the same time. So I start with the simplicity. Simplicity is simply a simple solution to the complex things. And I may tell you that there is a book by this name written by Jeffrey Plug. I would request all the edu leaders and teachers to read this book, because this is the book which tells you how to make the complex situation simple. How can you get the solutions for the problems? And if I come back to the topic now, evolving role of a teacher, I would like to discuss certain qualities or the characteristics what the teacher has. Who is a teacher? Who we consider as a teacher? What qualities a teacher should be having, or children assume that teacher has all these qualities. So there are enormous, I was reading a certain books, or usually we go on Google Baba and search the things. So sometimes we say teacher should have 5 qualities, sometimes we say should teacher should have 7 qualities, sometimes we say teacher should have 15 qualities, 50 qualities. So if we just summarize all the things, we say a teacher has to be the most patient person on this earth is the teacher. A teacher is considered to be a thinker, a life coach, an accepting person, because a teacher has to accept all the things, all negatives, all positives, all awards, all rewards, all criticism at the same time. A teacher is considered to be a coach. A teacher is considered to be a role model. A teacher is considered to be a mentor. A teacher is considered as an emotional support. A teacher is considered as a friend. A teacher is considered as a caregiver. A teacher is considered as an advisor. A teacher is considered as a leader. A teacher has to be very supportive, has to be showing the care, has to be sharing the communication, and teacher is considered as the problem solver. So if I, just put all these things into one definition, there's a quote: a teacher who establishes rapport with the taught, that is with the students, becomes one of them, learns more from them than he teaches them. This is a famous quote which was given by Mahatma Gandhi. Means a teacher has to become one of the students to understand them better, to make them learn better. So these are the things what a teacher has to imbibe in himself or herself. It helps the teacher to become a great teacher.
Why do you think that we as teachers need to evolve?
Yeah, see, if we see it, many times the question arises, why should we evolve? What is the need to evolve? The very right question, Rina. So, if we don't evolve, how do we inculcate adventurous stuff in students? How do we kindle creativity among them? How do we make them emotionally and socially stable? How do we include art and craft in education? And there are enormous rules and enormous number of questions that how do we see. Basically we need to think and take a pause here. We basically need to think about it, that rather than saying how, we need to think, why do we need to do all these things? Why do we need to evolve? Why do we need to focus? And we have to see that why part is more important than how part. See, we need all these things because we have to survive, because we have to adopt to certain changes, because we need, what is the aim of education? Basically, aim of education is the holistic development of a child. Now the question is, what is holistic development? Holistic development means that we have to make each and every child a stable person, a person who can adjust to the current needs, a person who can adapt the changes to survive, a person who can, the things which change. When things change, we see the evolution is taking place, and evolution maybe it will be difficult, but it is very important. So here comes a particular term which we name as generation. What is this generation? A group of persons born during a limited time span of years who shared a common and distinct social characters shaped by their shared experiences through time. That is called generation. So, to simplify this definition, the individuals living in a community being out of the same age group becomes a generation. So generation needs to evolve for survival.
Right. So, ma'am, right now, as we see that the entire educational scenario has completely changed, rather, I would say. Things are not as they were while we were there in the physical schools, and the kids, teachers, parents, everybody are just on the brim of just anytime they can just explode, right? Because the kids are in homes for more than three to four, it's almost going to be 4 months. The kids are at home, they are confined in the four walls. This is my general question to nearly all my speakers, because everybody has a different perspective, everybody has a different answer. And I guess through these answers, somewhere or the other, the parents, the students and teachers, they will definitely benefit.
Yes.
So ma'am, as a parent, because I know you too have kids, they also go to school and colleges, as a parent, as a teacher, as the institutional head, what do you feel uh, are the kids, the teachers, and of course we ourselves going through? Like, what would be your opinion on how we should handle things?
The thing is, it's approximately the fourth month going on with this pandemic situation, and we as edulators, or we even as parents, we hardly took any time to adopt certain changes among ourselves. See, if you talk about the technology, none of us was so technocrat, or none of us was so smart to use the different apps and different. Have you ever had we ever thought 3 months back that we will be on a virtual meeting? No.
Not
Had
at
we
all.
ever thought that we will be in touch with the children through virtual means, or on through WhatsApp groups or anything else? Because we were the ones who were always telling children to stay away from the electronic gadgets. But now it is we only who are there to tell them and ask them to be there on the electronic gadgets. So these things, these changes are very important, and I'm very happy and proud to say that every one of us has adopted the change. Why this change? See, now again, here again comes the role of evolution. Why have we changed? Imagine if we would not have adapted this technology all these 3 months or so, what would have been the scenario? What would have been the children doing? How would have been the parents tackling the child? How would have been the studies or the growth taking place? Because parents were also very used to the thing that the child is going for either 5 days or 6 days to school. Parents were at ease to do their job, to do their work, and concentrate on home affairs. But now, including the teachers, including the edu leaders, parents are equally supporting the education fraternity in all the respects. In spite of their office hours, in spite of their house job, they are supporting their children, helping them to learn what their teachers are communicating. See, we are using the technology. There's no doubt about it. But there are not many things available online. There are not many things available on the internet. Does that mean that this child at home can study without a teacher? No, because he will be going directionless if he is not asked to do follow a particular direction. That is how the change is taking place. If we talk about the what main thing has changed, the only thing that has changed in all these 3 months is the social bonding, this physical bonding, one to one touch. When we used to be in the schools, we used to sit with the children, we used to talk to them, and that bonding is less. But if I say that this pandemic has been a blessing in disguise for all of us, because we are rediscovering ourselves, we are rediscovering the qualities and the things in our children. Teachers are rediscovering things in the students. In a class of 30 to 40 students, we usually used to see that all the children were not interactive all the time when the teacher was teaching. They were not asking the questions. But what is happening now, when they are studying online, or when they are attending any virtual meet, they do one thing, they do ask their questions. That is the beauty of this virtual meets. Online teaching is such a platform where an very silent child even is asking a question, because he is in a perception that nobody is there to criticize me, nobody is there to laugh at me, because he is writing his question in the chat box now. But in a way, it is positive for that child, because that child is learning to question, that child is learning to understand more, that child is learning to get in connect with the teacher. And I must appreciate the whole educational fraternity, that they are giving their time, they are giving their knowledge, they are giving their all the efforts much more than earlier.
We can say, in a way, we as educationists have evolved ourselves, right? And
Sorry.
that was the need. We as educationists have evolved. That was the
Yes,
need. We took no time. We took no time to come on board.
very true.
And we were like, some of us, we were not aware how to use it. Then through Google Baba, as you said, through Google Baba or our
See,
training
I can
sessions,
give
we
you
did learn.
examples, Reena, because there were many number of teachers. See, I talked about the generation now. What is this generation basically? If I go scientifically and if I bifurcate all these generations, it started from the silent generation, which we consider from 1925 to
Ma'am,
1945.
I would like
I don't know the nomenclature of,
I would like to
sorry.
request you to elaborate the generations very carefully and elaboratively, so that we as parents and as teachers know exactly how to deal with things. Because this
Yeah, I
generation
would.
is
I will
different
definitely try
generation.
to. So let me come. See, if I talk about the silent generation, which we consider from 1925 to 1945. Now, I don't know the nomenclature, why the people, why the scientists have named it a silent generation. I think that better will be we Google it again. But after that silent generation, there came a generation of baby boomers, which was from 1945 to 1964. So if I talk 1946 to 64, it means our parents are from that generation. And after baby boomers, it was Generation X. Generation X is from the year 1965 to 1979, which means we belong to that generation. We all belong to X generation. So after X generation, it came with Generation Y, which was from year 1980 to 1994. Means the children who we taught or we helped them to grow and learn were Generation Y. And present generation is different. So after Generation Y, it was Generation X from 1995 to 2009. So after 2009, scientists thought now Generation Z ke baad there will be nothing. So Z is the last alphabet. After Z there is no alphabet. So after 2009, that is 2010 to 2024. This generation was named as Generation Alpha. Reason? that generation alpha is basically a Greek word, which is the first alphabet of the Greek, alphabets. So means at present we are dealing with generation Z and generation Alpha. Most of the children who are in primary classes are generation Alpha. So now we need to understand what is this generation Alpha and how is generation Y different from it and how is generation X different from both these generations. So after generation Alpha means after 24, which is going to happen just 4 years after today. So generation beta will be coming up. So if I connect 2010, which is the beginning of generation alpha, is the introduction of ipad and these technologies.
Exactly.
So when I say generation X, there were hardly any telephones are, we never used to have these electronic gadgets. So my learning was altogether different. Generation Y has a different learning. Generation Z has a different learning. There were certain electronic gadgets, but not much. Now, what about generation Alpha? Where a child, if I give you an example, my sister's daughter, she was hardly 7 months old when she used to operate the iPhone. And there are children in this generation who don't speak mama as first word, they say Alexa first. See, that is the difference. So they are learning these things. And we as generation X people, we sometimes behave very reluctant, and see, we say हमारे जमाने में जो था वही ठीक था. So now this present generation, they criticize us. If we are elders, we have siblings, or we have our children at home in a family gathering, many times they say आपको कुछ नहीं पता, or they criticize their grandparents. Nani mama आपको कुछ नहीं पता, दादी दादू बाबा आपको कुछ नहीं पता. And see, there are reasons for these generation gaps dialogues. Why? Because if we talk about the grandparents, I have examples. If my mother, when she was introduced with a debit card or a credit card, she never used it for 6 or 10 months, saying that अगर नंबर गलत डाल गया, अगर पैसे कहीं और चले गए, किसी और के अकाउंट में ट्रांसफर हो गए. So that is the difference. That is the difference of thinking. Now, a present generation kid, you give a debit card to a 8-year-old. My son is taking my debit card and operating it because he is generation Y or generation Alpha. So that is the generation X and Y. They have a fear of mind. They have something in their mind that if something will happen, they don't do it cautiously, but it is there. Generation Alpha and Generation Z जो है, they are above all these things. They assume that what is the big deal, what will go wrong. So
Ma'am,
we need to understand these things,
ma'am,
that teachers have to evolve their teaching methodologies to deal with these generations. They have to understand that they need to change their pedagogy, because see, luckily CBSE has been talking about it. CBSE has brought so many changes in the whole pedagogy. They talk about, just today only I was listening to webinar there. I feel happy that when people talk about making teaching more creative now. Our teaching methodology was very traditional, Arena, to be very honest. It was lecture method was used mostly by the teachers. But now if you do that, the child will ask you, ma'am, please sit back home. We have enough of information available on the internet. So you can
exactly.
give 10
Ma'am,
points, we can get on 50 points.
I have a question. While we
Yeah.
are talking about evolution and the scenario of evolution in the we are right now we are talking about a particular age group, right? What about the particular group or right now, in fact, we can say we are talking about a particular society where gadgets are available, right?
Hmm.
Not everyone can afford them.
True.
right? But technology and evolution, okay, we being in the middle class society or the higher class society, we can definitely go with it. But what about those children, those who are in the villages, who are in the slums, who are poor children, who want to study but they do not have means to study? How do we cater to them? Like government schools and all, they don't have these technology, but anyhow they are trying to give online education. And
Uh,
we, like those people, this is in fact a message from somebody who's her name is Shanti Bose. She is a reformer, I would say. She works with slums, she works with children, she educates them, she gives them food, she brings them to ground reality, she teaches them how to face life. She is saying, ma'am, technology and evolution does not exist for poor children and children from village, slums, government schools, etc. Even today, do we have cell phones? Everybody does not have. Still in the villages, they borrow either from somebody and then do calls and all. We
I
work on,
I I am totally in agreement with what she has written. Yes, because
yes, she
when
says
I
we work,
recently,
exact. She says we work on ground knowing the reality. Hence, the answer to this context might be wrong, but I am sorry for that. This is the reality that I want to portray. The evolution takes place when government do something at mass level. Changes for few or reputed schools, it might hurt, but only changes for few schools, like we were talking about iPads and all. Like I think as a whole, all of us need to try and make a change, because even these kids deserve studying. So, ma'am,
yes.
what do you say about it?
So see, I'm in total agreement what she has written. She is totally correct. There is a certain strata in our society. There are certain children. It's not much high. The percentage is very low, but yes, it is there. Because I have a personal experience. I had been working with a philanthropic school recently, and I had been working in a rural area. But the thing is, what is technology? See, people consider technology as iPad technology. It's not iPads or it's not laptops only. See, every person these days has a smartphone. And now there is very less percentage of the parents who don't have a smartphone. But for that, we should be very thankful to certain government agencies. Like if I talk about my state, I belong to J&K. Hats off to the state government, state education department. They have chosen two ways of reaching to the children. See, every home has a radio or a TV set. Now what the this education department is doing, they are giving online classes, recorded classes on television. So that is how they are reaching the lower strata of the community, and they are making them involved into the studies. And radio is at the same time equally used for the same, because radio to hai hi hai har ghar mein, chota hai ya bada hai, it is working. And they are giving audio lectures through radio. They are reaching to the mass public. And it is not that, see, if phones would have not been there, if iPads or laptops would not have been there, TV and radio is there in every house. These two things are basically such modes of communication which are used for mass media, means general public. We also include ourselves in that. So we can also go for that. So that is how we are reaching this strata of the society. It's not that they are being ignored. Like it's not rural areas only, because we have to consider the people who are living near the borders. They are having the same problem. We in J&K, we have a connectivity issue because we are working on 2G. So on 2G, we usually face problems when we have online classes. But there is no problem when the telecast is on the TV. We don't have an issue when the telecast is going on in a radio. So these two modes can be used to reach the general masses. to consider such children who cannot afford an iPad or a laptop or a smartphone. So these two, I think, are the best mode of communication to reach them.
Right, because ma'am, it's not that everybody has TV also, but yes, people can definitely afford a small radio. Like
Yes,
when we were kids, we used to get glued up to the radio to just listen to the
yes,
commentaries.
of course. And TV can be shared. It's like we have to take certain precautions to stay safe, like wearing masks and using the sanitizer. They can go to neighbor's house if they have a TV there in the house. They can maintain the social distance sitting in a room and watch their lesson. It will be
But
for
ma'am,
very short duration.
do you think right now, as the numbers are increasing day and night, do you think had social distancing been followed, this would have occurred?
uh, it is not happening, but that is what we are making sure. See,
In fact, we are
see,
just
Rina, education has to play a role. See, it's very difficult to change grown up people. It is very difficult to change the thinking and the way of living among the adults, but it is very easy to give the same knowledge to a child will never defy the rules. Child will, you remember when we used to teach a child and we made the corrections in the notebook. घर आके जब मम्मा उसकी उसमें कुछ mistake देखती थी, she used to correct it, but the child used to write the same what teacher gives the child, saying that ये teacher ने बोला है ये सही है. Right? So this is how the teacher's impact is there on the children. That role we have to explore, and that role we have to I mean, we can use teachers for this. We are doing it. See, it's not academics only. It's not we are teaching children the syllabus only. It's like we are engaging them with these activities as well. We are giving certain activities which engage them keeping themselves physically fit. We are doing yoga exercises, we are doing dance competitions, we are doing certain other competitions, we are doing healthy discussions. So, and we are taking ideas from children only. So, children have much better ideas. See, I told you that Mahatma Gandhi's quote, when we are teaching, we have to be a child, we have to learn from them. That makes learning more effective. That makes learning. And when we talk about this social distancing and following the social rules, children are the best medium to communicate this, and teachers can imbibe these values and imbibe these things in the children.
right. So, ma'am, we when we talk about imbibing things, right now we are most of us we've restored to online education. Most of us, in
Yes,
fact,
yes,
nearly the entire country is teaching the kids through online mode of teaching. So, ma'am,
yes.
what do you think? Would this mode of teaching affect the you can say the results of the students?
uh, See, if you talk about the results, what is our aim of teaching at present? Are we still result oriented? Are we still marks oriented? Are we still looking up after that my child should achieve 100%, 99%? No, because our aim of education is whatever we teach, the child should learn how to use that teaching in a real life. If he is able to use that education in his real life, that is actually education. And these assessments and all, there are ways, there are not many ways of assessing. See, if we talk about online assessment, it can be done through certain apps. We have Canvas, we have Google Forms, we have Mentimeters, we have certain other, we have there are certain paid apps as well, but that is just for assessment. And assessment is important because you need to know what you are teaching, what you are transferring to a child. You need to know that child has actually understood it. You need to do the assessment part as well. Assessments will not go down until and unless your teaching remains effective and interactive. If it is only lecturing method and sending the notes, yes, definitely the performance will go down. But if you involve children, if you involve children for reading, if you involve children giving them projects where they need to study a lot, the things will improve. The assessment, they see, it's a very it's next to impossible that the child's progress will go down. And it's not that we are going to continue with this pandemic for long. Maybe it's for another 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. But one day we have to get back to the schools. One day we have to get back. I mean, the things will be different. It will not be, the things what we used to have 4 months back. The life after pandemic will altogether be different for all of us, including the children. But we have to teach them again how to adopt to those things, and they are already doing it. So
Ma'am, ma'am, do you think education itself is going to evolve post pandemic?
of course. See, Reena, we have already switched from classroom teaching to online teaching. It's not in teaching only, it's happening everywhere. We are doing work from home. It's happening in offices as well. We used to go to the restaurants, we used to go to the hotels. Now you cannot go to the such places. It's carry away or home delivery or these things are happening. So everyone has evolved. Everyone has evolved in this society, including the educators. Now, role of education is altogether different. See, work from home is different, but online education is different. After the pandemic, teaching will be a blended form. It will be 100% because CBSE is already working on it, NCRT is already working on it. They have already framed certain, formats that how will we move ahead. They are curtailing certain portion of the syllabus. It's not that they are curtailing the whole syllabus. They are curtailing. See, CBSE has already done this. ICSE has already done this. State boards are thinking about it. So there will be evolution after the pandemic, and when we talk about the blending teaching, it means that we will be teaching online as well as offline, and there will be certain part of the children who will be coming school a day, one day, and the other rest of the children may be attending the school the other day. So when one part of the when one number of the students are there in the school, the other number of the students are learning online that time. So that will be the big evolution. That will be the biggest challenge for teachers to
Ma'am,
balance.
sorry to interrupt, but don't you think that human touch is very essential in teaching? In fact,
It is.
this is a thought sent by Kanika Chopra. She says somehow having a human touch in teaching is very essential. So, what do you have to
It
say about
is.
it?
It is very essential, very true. The Kanika has written the gist of the thing. Physical touch is must, because when we teach children how to love, how to take care, we teach them the belongingness. It was through touch, but now this pandemic has rendered us helpless. Physical touch won't be possible even after pandemic, to maintain the distance or maintain the hygiene. We used to teach our children, share your tiffin, sit together, sit among your friends. When you meet somebody, give a hug or something, like all these things. But now it will be different. Physical touch is important, but it will all be either virtual now, or it will be a distant hug, a distant physical touch. Now, what will help to cover this is the values. Somehow the values were going out of our education, out of our children's because of this curriculum, because of this syllabus. We were doing it, but let me tell you and let me tell all that values are not imbibed and taught in schools only. See, when a child is born, what is the first thing a child does? सबसे पहले वो वो बोलना शुरू करता है, और वो बोलना शुरू करता है घर में. When a child is 3 months old, 4 months old, 6 months, that is how he starts speaking. So means it happens at home. It
So,
starts at home.
ma'am, you will also agree in most of my talks, I have mentioned that we as parents and teachers, we need to come together for the development of our children. We
Of
have to,
course, I
we,
take
if
I take I
एक
take
जुमला मारूं- अगर एक जुमला मारूं तो हमें लैला मजनू की तरह एक साथ हाथ पकड़ के चलना होगा अपने बच्चों के लिए.
Very true. See, Rina, these are the stakeholders: school, parent, and child. It's a triangle, and it has to connect, has to be connected.
Exactly. We need to
One
connect
corner
all
is the
three
parent, the
angles of
other
it.
corner is the school, and other corner is the child. So it is, when this is together, it is a triangle. Once it's open, there is some communication gap in between, and that is how certain things happen in between. When we say values go missing, it is not from the parents only, it is not from the school only. We cannot blame parents, and parents cannot blame school teachers or school edu leaders for this. So as you said, it is always mutual. It's always mutual. See, if I say मैं बच्चे को झूठ बोलना नहीं सिखाती हूँ, मैंने कभी बच्चे को झूठ बोलना सिखाया ही नहीं, but somebody comes to my home and I send my son out, please बोलो बेटा मम्मा घर पे नहीं है. But at the same time, I say मैं झूठ बोलना सिखाती ही नहीं हूँ. I don't know उसने कहाँ से सीखा है. So these are certain छोटे छोटे examples. These things we need to take care of. We had been watching many advertisements on TV. बहुत बहुत सोच के advertisements आते हैं. If I remember, there was an ad when a father goes to drop his son to school, and signal pay. The father keeps the AC on. The son keeps on peeping out of the window, and father asks him, "What are you looking at? What are you concentrating at?" He tells his father that I'm looking at that uncle, how he's using a bicycle as mode of transport, and his father goes very cool. So what is new thing about it? तो बच्चा बोलता है, "No dad, it is like I'm thinking after maybe year or 10 years or 15 years I will have to go by the same mode of transportation." Father asks, "Why? We have a car, you're sitting in AC, and the car is on. Why are you saying that?" He says, "Because when you're keeping it on, when you're putting the ignition on, AC is working. One day the petroleum, this will vanish. So I will have to use the cycle." So बच्चे कहीं ना कहीं हमें lessons देते हैं, and we could see the ad. Then the father immediately switches off the ignition and realizes what mistake I was doing. I can quote one more example. One of my friends, rather my teacher actually, she said, we were going to the market, and children were sitting, and when we saw that there was no cop around near the traffic signal, we just crossed the signal in spite of red light. And then my son had a question कि पापा red light था, आपने तो red light says stop, you did not stop. Father simply said, अरे अभी तो कोई पुलिस वाला नहीं था. So the son's question was कि red light बोलता है stop या पुलिस वाला बोलता है stop. So these things we have to take care. Are we doing these things for ourselves? Are we doing these things for our children? So what we are doing, what we have to do, we have to keep one thing in mind, that child is our father basically. Child is learning what we are doing. And this goes same for the teachers. That is how we say that teachers need to evolve. When teachers will not adapt to the changes, How will they cope up with this generation? How will they go with this part of the children? How will they understand them? How will they understand, and how will they bring, make the bond strong? They need to connect themselves to the children, and there are a lot number of ways, there are ample number of ways these days, because our teaching has changed, our teaching
So,
pedagogy
ma'am,
has changed.
somewhere or the other place, you will definitely agree that experiential learning is a must.
Yes, it is. So that is what I'm saying, Rina. See, the teaching pedagogy has changed. Now we are not teaching just for assessment and see the results. Now we are teaching to see that learning outcome of that teaching is what is focused. It's not time based now. It's not that we have to finish the syllabus and move on. It is that if we are doing one particular topic, unless and until the child understands the whole gist of the topic and applies it properly, integrates it with other subjects, the teacher will not move ahead. That is what change has got.
Right. So, ma'am, one more question. Like, we all know that our teaching methods, our teaching pedagogy is changing day and night, right?
Yes.
And we have been trying to change ourselves, our methodologies to teach. And so have our students and parents changing their pedagogies of learning, the way they learn. They are trying to adapt to our pedagogies.
Hmm.
Right. So, ma'am, what do you think how is teaching and learning going to change the future?
Uh, See, if we talk about the approach, we have to change the approach first. As I said, we have to go from structured mode of engagement to the engaged mode of engagement. Like we used to just go to the class, deliver the lecture, and come out. But now we have to go to the class, engage the children into discussion, see the learning outcome. That is most important.
Ma'am,
That will help us to change.
I have a question
Yes.
from Mr. Ajay Pal Singh. How teachers can evaluate the quality of experiential learning?
Yes, I will come on that. I will come on that as well. So let me talk about this first, how teaching learning is going to change the future. See, earlier we used to have a very limited access to the information. Now the access to information is unlimited and it is easy available at the fingertips. See, at present, we are actually growing with the screen ages. The children are growing with the screens. They are spending their time on the screens, right? And when they are spending time on the screens, it is to be aligned with the academics. There's a lot of development. See, if we talk about the change in the teaching methodologies, now more of the stress is laid on 21st century skills, which is basically beneficial for the lifelong learning among the students. And see, if we talk about generation uh, alpha, this generation will starve for acceptance, because when we talked about the physical touch, when we talked about the physical bonding, that is lacking somewhere nowadays. So we have to find out ways how to teach them about the community, how to tell them about the belongingness. So there are certain things, certain timeless human needs which will remain the same forever, and those things are very common. See, these things will not change whether we go with experiential learning or we go with 21st century skills or any mode of teaching. That is the teachers basically have to focus on three main things. Number one is love, number two is care, and number three is belongingness. See, these are such things which will not ever change.
Ma'am,
You know,
I'll cut this. I have a question for this. Like,
yeah,
I'm not. It's not that I'm pinpointing on teachers, but how many teachers follow these three rules: love, care, and belongingness? Not all teachers follow this, because there have been instances when students who are very naughty but are good in other things and very bleak, or we can say very slow in reading writing, they are targeted. So where does care, love and belongingness go that time? Because they are the ones who need to be taken care of more rather than the ones who are already performing.
very right. See, Rina, as a evaluator, I have always experienced this in all my work at all my workplaces. Uh, Usually, when we have some celebrations, usually when we have some special assemblies, usually when we have some special days where the children are to be presented on the stage, there's a lot number of. It's not many teachers, as I said. See, exceptions are everywhere, and it all depends how we are training our teachers. uh, Teachers belong to generation X usually, so generation X teachers have little different mode of thinking
Ma'am,
and
ma'am,
understanding.
ma'am, I have something to say. When we
Yeah.
teachers are of generation X, right, and our students are generation alpha, why are we teaching them in generation X mode?
See, schools are not generation X. Rina, everything is
It's not.
evolving.
It's.
Everything has changed. Even
I'm
teachers
not
are
talking about.
adapting to changes.
Ma'am, I'm not talking about the schools. What I am talking about is our mode of teaching. We are still somewhere stuck up in generation X. I think you'll
No,
agree to that.
I don't agree on this. It's not fully that we are on generation X. If we would have been at
Had
generation
this
X, we would not
pandemic,
have
had
been
this,
teaching.
ma'am, had this pandemic not come and hugged us, we would have still been generation X.
Exactly. But Reena, see, this thing had to happen. Maybe after 5 years or 10 years, this thing had to happen. But now this pandemic has done it for us, that it has brought us 10 years closer to the technology. And
Exactly.
if we talk
That is the answer I wanted to listen from your mouth. That was the answer I was waiting for. Because since
so
then
that
I'm
is
just
how.
thinking, why are we in Generation X? Why are we teaching our kids in the Generation X mode? Why not Generation Alpha?
See, if we talk about, if we go out of India, these things were happening there in US, in other countries, Finland, and other countries, Hong Kong, and all. See, those countries have already adapted these modes of teaching and these modes of learning. But ये चीज जो है, this had to happen in India maybe after 5 or 10 years. But thanks to this pandemic and COVID-19, it has got this evolution in education industries 10 years earlier. And hats off all to edu leaders across the country that they have successfully adapted this change and they
Exactly.
are going
In fact,
ahead.
now
They are going ahead.
what I feel is now teaching is going to be easier for them.
Yes, of course. See, a change is always difficult to adapt. A change, we show resistance to the change. If I talk 95 days back, the teacher's reaction was, we are not computers. We don't have such smartphones. We don't know how to make PPTs. We don't know how to make videos. If we make videos, our faces will be this thing. They had not many number of excuses. But now they are not, it's easy because they are used to it now. They know, in spite of doing all these their home chores, they are taking care of their children, they are taking care of their families, they are doing all the domestic work. And in spite of all those responsibilities, the priority is given to making the lesson plans, the priority is given to making the videos for the children,
So
the priority is given.
this is the beauty of Generation Alpha, ma'am.
Yes.
So I was
So
waiting for this answer. I thought like everything has been spoken, but nothing has been spoken about our teaching methods. So, ma'am,
no.
I have a big question. You can say we can ask why change. Why?
Yes. See, there's a saying, there's a very famous saying, change is the only constant in life. And adapting to change may be difficult. So I have certain already quoted certain examples. I'll quote some more. As I talked about the teachers, as I talked about the grandparents, as I talked about my mom, as I talked about my children. So let me tell you something about why your question is why change. So let me tell you the reasons. There are certain things when we think of a change that immediately comes to our mind. So first thing that comes to our mind, if we go with a change, there are certain things that will happen. Now, will it be easy for me to go with the changes? And as a human being, we always want to be consistent. We always want to be in our comfort zone. We always want to be comfortable how we are. So we give a very less thought that what will happen after the change. See, if I remember the consistency and reluctance of the teachers 95 days back, and if I ask them the question now, the answer will be different. They'll be more happy. In fact, they all will come with some more innovative ideas. In fact, they will now say that, ma'am, why this mode of education or mode of teaching only? We can go with this. We can give it a try. So that is why change. It brings in a positivity. It brings you can focus more on the frame of mind. You can make your life more easy. uh, Most important is we learn more skills, we adopt to the changes, and we decrease our fear. There's always a fear inside us, but these changes help us to overcome our fears. We attract positivity. See, when this pandemic started, everybody was of what should be done, what can be done, what to do sitting home, how will we survive, how will we live, how will we eat, how will children do the things at home, how to manage everyone at home. And all these things were a big question mark in the earlier days. But when we adapted ourselves to the change, it went very smooth. In fact, talked about it earlier also. We discovered ourselves. It's not our children
Exactly.
only. We
So, ma'am,
discovered ourselves.
don't you think we need to introspect and observe ourselves?
Of course, we need to see in a daily routine life before this pandemic, we were somehow ignoring ourselves. What comes out of all this, Rina, is that we had forgotten that we have to embrace ourselves. We have we always kept ourselves busy with work, with children, with home affairs, and we used to ignore ourselves. So basically everything starts from us. We are the ones who are doing this. We are the ones who has to bring the change, and we are the ones we have to change. So what is most important is that we have to concentrate on the behavioral shifts. We have to change on our behavior. Most important. I'm not talking about students only. I'm not talking about teachers only. I'm talking on a whole. So it's
So,
everyone.
ma'am, you will agree to it that to keep ourselves happy and feel cared, love, and belonged, we need to love and care and give the feeling of belongingness to our kids as well.
Very true. See, when I talk about behavioral shifts, it's not to be understood only. It is to be understood, and it is to be well nurtured. That will, help us to change. See now, if I again quote the simple example of a debit card, when it was introduced
Many
15
of
or
our
20
children
years
don't
back,
use it.
see, but now everybody is easy on it. So that is how we change our behavior. We started thinking about it. Uh, Things change and things evolve around ourselves and around us only. So, most important, we already talked about love, care, and belongingness. It starts from yourself. So you need to keep yourself very happy. You need to keep yourself very positive. And if I talk about the teachers, see, teachers don't need to take stress. They don't need to take stress that now we are under eyes of the management. We are being watched by the parents. We are being watched by the principal. We are being watched by the students. We are being watched by their relatives. We are being watched by their home. I mean, whosoever is present at home. So, in spite of taking stress, they should be very cool. They should take it easy. They should be confident that whatever I am delivering is to the best of my ability. And the teacher should evolve around herself while teaching. That will help her to be
Ma'am,
very
would you agree to the words of Ignacio Estrada? He says, if a child cannot learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach them the way they learn.
so it is, see, you are quoting a different person. I quote Mahatma Gandhi. So when I said
Exactly. And
a
the words are
teacher
the
has
same. Words are the
got
same.
the same, gist is same, and outcome is same.
Exactly.
So we have to come to that level. We have to reach there.
I think that is how these our desire to make a difference in the children are going to be fulfilled, and I think this is how we can really evolve ourselves and we can help our children evolve themselves. So,
Very
ma'am,
true.
what are the takeaways for your students, for teachers and parents?
See, there. If we talk about this. When we talk about the evolution, as I talked earlier also, there are certain difficulties in adopting the change. There are certain things. See, first thing, most important is your mindset. Second thing is there that we always think that there is uncertainty to adapt the change. We are not sure about it, whether the change will be positive, will be having positive impact on us or a negative impact on us. Uh, Other thing is that we are scared of the failures. We have apprehensions about the change, adapting change. Some people, or if we talk about certain teachers, they think they are not properly skilled to go with certain changes. Many times, this generation gap, so-called generation gap, which I take as an attitude towards work, is one of the reasons to adapt to the changes. One more reason is fear of competition. One more reason is we already discussed that coming out of the comfort zone. One more reason is that we don't have a proper knowledge about certain things. There are many things like uneasiness, and other part we discussed that stress. So now, coming out, now let me quote certain examples. When we usually change a job, what things come in our mind? First thing that usually comes in our mind is, I don't know who is the boss. I don't know whether the boss will be easy or a tough one. I don't know how will I balance my working with him. How is the organization? Is that organization going to pay me in time like the present organization? These questions are always there. But does that mean we keep ourselves consistent to the present chair? No, we adopt a change. We go for a new job with a hope. We always have a fear, but we go for that change. Why? That we have to evolve. We have to grow. Change is always for growth, right? And if I talk about something like when learning becomes uncomfortable, which we usually think if we learn or if we adapt the changes, our life will be uncomfortable. So I will quote certain things here. Do we really think before getting married? Do we really think before becoming a parent? That there is always a risk. When we are getting married, there is always a risk. We hardly know the boy or the girl we are getting married to, but we go for that. So when we go become parents, we never know that well, how will be the life after be
Ma'am,
becoming a parent.
on our comment, on our that quotation which I quoted, if
Hmm.
the student does not understand the way we teach, we should teach the students the way they learn. There is a question from Mr. Ajay Pal Singh. He says, "Can students judge the teaching of a teacher?"
See, students are not there to judge. Students are there to learn. Students are there to question, and students are there to understand.
Exactly.
So
We are
it
not
is
telling
it
the
is
students
it
to
is
judge.
unfortunate. It is unfortunate that it has happened at certain places, that children have indulged into some negative remarks about a teacher. That is that again our role we have to play. That we have to inculcate values. Again, we have to inculcate values. Children are not sitting there to judge. Children are sitting there to educate and grow themselves mentally and physically. Children are sitting there to understand. They are not sitting there to judge. So
Right.
now coming back to the thing, see, for adapting this thing, we need to focus on our frame of mind, irrespective of what the change is. See, try to understand, it will help the person. And I mean, at this stage, we're talking about the teachers. Change will always help them in a positive manner and their children also when they are
Ma'am,
adapting
there is
changes.
a message. She says, "Hi, ma'am. I want to share my opinion regarding teaching. Few years ago, ये बोला जाता था कि टीचिंग हाफ डे वर्क है, बट अब कुछ years से ये फुल डे वर्क हो गया है. घर आकर के काफी स्ट्रेस. This is my opinion. It needs a change, but बहुत सी मैरिड लेडीज टीचिंग जॉब लीव कर रही हैं बिकॉज स्ट्रेस एंड टाइमिंग बहुत ज्यादा हो चुकी है. आई थिंक कुछ चेंज की जरूरत है. टाइमिंग फिक्स होना चाहिए. स्कूल के काम सिर्फ स्कूल में ही फिनिश हो जाना चाहिए. एम आई राइट और रॉन्ग?"
So may I know the name of the person who has put this question?
She is Neelu Swani.
So let me tell Neelu that Neelu, this is the thing what we are talking. This is the thing we are talking about half an hour now. So evolution is must. I just talked 5 minutes before that stress is to be dealt with positivity. You don't need to stress yourself. No teacher needs to stress herself or himself. I agree that teaching used to take place for 6 working hours, but tell me honestly, it was more than 6 hours earlier also, and it is more than 6 hours now also. Because of this pandemic, we are not at our workplaces. That is how our time has increased. For this, I would always suggest please manage your time. Please do a proper time management for this so that you can get time for yourself, you can get time for your family, and you can definitely get time for your teaching. See, you have to. Teaching is not everybody's cup of tea. Teaching is not easy. This is a job where you're building the nation builders. You're creating leaders. You're creating doctors. You're creating engineers. You're creating teachers. You're creating all the fields where the children have to go. So you have such an important role to play among the students. So if you are yourself feeling stressed, how will you give best out of you? So just distress yourself, manage your time, and be easy with the things by first taking care of yourself. See, you are the priority. Take care of yourself first, then only the things will move in a proper direction, then only the things will be manageable.
Right. So thank you so much, ma'am. Here we end our conversation. Thank you so much for sparing your very, very precious time. We will
Thank you,
hopefully.
Rina. Thank you. Always there for you. Thank you
I
so
know,
much
ma'am, you're
for
always there for me. I know you're always
Thank
there
you
for
so much,
me.
and
Thank
thank
you
you for
so much.
thank you all the audience who were there with us. Thank you for such lovely questions, and you can always drop in the questions. And Reena Ma'am is always there to address. She has been, organizing all these talk shows. I have been following her, very religiously, and all the shows were excellent, ma'am. Every
Thank you so
time
much.
there was a
Thank you so
takeaway
much.
from every talk show. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
So here we end our today's session. Tomorrow we will be having Major General Vikram Dev Dogra, AVSM retired. He is a TEDx speaker. He is the first serving army officer and the only serving general in the world to do the Ironman challenge twice. Tomorrow we will be here with him at 11 a.m. He will be throwing some insight on education after lockdown. Thank you and namaste.